Okay, so today we're going to dive into something I've been bumping into a lot lately, and that's Satsang.
Okay.
And you hear that term, and at first you kind of think, oh, is it just like a casual thing, like a get-together? But I get the feeling it's a lot more than that.
Yeah,
And I think it's something that gets misinterpreted pretty easily,
it does.
especially these days.
Especially nowadays.
Like I was reading this one story about these people, and they drove like hundreds of kilometers to go to like a satsang.
Right.
And then they got there and were like, this isn't the real deal.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm really curious, like when you were going through the research, what to you really makes a satsang real?
I think what was the biggest thing for me was that it's not really any specific location or a certain amount of people. That makes it a real satsang.
Okay.
It can even be by yourself.
Right.
It's really about connecting with that name.
Naam.
Yeah.
Okay, now see, that's something I would definitely want to unpack because I keep seeing that word pop up. I even saw this one quote and it said, just as one cannot appease one's hunger by the word bread, in the same way, by mere talk about Naam, nothing is achieved.
Right.
So it sounds like it's more than just a word.
Yeah, it's more of an experience than
Yep.
just intellectual understanding.
Oh, okay.
So you know how we can talk about bread all day, but it doesn't satisfy our hunger?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Naam. We can talk about it, but it's really something that we have to experience.
This is like a tangible thing.
Yeah, it's a tangible energy that's transmitted from the master to the seeker.
Okay, and this is where that real satsang comes in.
Exactly.
So it's about creating a space or an environment where that can actually occur.
Exactly. And, I mean, Kirpal Singh said it himself, just because he was physically present didn't mean it was satsang.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not even necessarily about the teacher or having someone that you revere there. It's got to have that element of Naam.
Yeah.
That's a pretty radical concept
It is.
when you think about it.
And that's where the misconception is,
Yeah.
People think, oh, I have to be with this person or I have to go to this place to experience God.
Right.
But really, it's about going within
Yeah, okay.
and connecting to that divine energy within.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's not about being in a specific place or with a certain teacher, how do we even begin to experience that nap?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what everybody wants to know.
Right.
But, one thing that Hazur Singh said that really stood out to me was that, it is beneficial to be in the company of somebody who has tasted it,
Okay.
of somebody who's a little further along the path.
Yeah, it's like if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It helps to have that company of like-minded people on the path.
Right, because it can be easy to kind of get off track
It can.
or feel like you're the only one
Exactly.
going through something.
And there's a lot of people who claim to be masters.
Oh, I bet.
But it really comes down to our own discernment, our own inner knowing of whether this person is truly connected
Interesting.
and transmitting that energy.
Okay, so finding the right company
Yes.
or being discerning about who you're with.
Yeah.
What else can we do to kind of open ourselves up to this true satsang?
Well, I think a lot of it is about moving beyond the intellectual understanding and into the experiential.
Okay.
Like learning a skill.
Okay.
You can read all the books in the world about baking bread,
Right.
but until you get your hands dirty and you actually bake the bread,
Right.
you'll never really understand it.
So it's like you can't just talk the talk. You have to walk the walk.
Yeah, you have to embody those teachings.
Okay.
And Kabir said it beautifully. He said, take the soul from this house to that house.
Wow.
It's about shifting our perspective
Yeah.
from this material world to the spiritual world.
That's really beautiful imagery.
It is.
So it's about connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I think
right.
that's what everybody's searching for, ultimately.
So we've talked about Naam. We've talked about finding the right company, moving beyond just the intellectual.
Right.
How do we know, though, when we're actually experiencing true satsang? How does that play out in a person's life?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest indicators is a deep sense of inner peace.
Oh.
That even when life throws its curveballs at you,
Yeah.
you're able to maintain,
Like a stability.
a sense of stability and peace.
So it's not like the hard things go away.
No.
It's like you have a different relationship to it.
Exactly.
Right.
It's also about having a sense of humility,
Okay.
and always being willing to learn and grow because we never really arrive,
Yeah. Right.
And Kirpal Singh said, only if you have seen truth yourself will you call upon others to follow you.
I love that.
It's not about imposing our beliefs on others,
Right.
but it's about embodying them so fully,
Yes.
that it inspires others
Yeah.
to find their own truth. So humility, I think, is a big one.
Okay, so humility, inner peace.
And detachment.
Detachment from what?
From material possessions, from worldly desires.
Okay, because it's so easy to get caught up in the
Well,
more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that never really leads to fulfillment.
Yeah. You're always chasing something.
Yeah, always chasing.
Yeah.
And also, I think another big indicator is living ethically.
Okay.
Treating others with compassion, kindness, and respect.
So it's not just about your own personal transformation.
Exactly.
Like recognizing we're all in this together.
We are. We're all interconnected.
Yeah.
And so our actions do have an effect on the whole.
Yeah. So Satsang is something that has to kind of radiate outwards.
It does.
From the inside out.
And in all of this, it's really a personal experience.
Yeah.
It's not about following a set of rules. It's about cultivating that connection with the divine.
Right.
With that inner wisdom that we all have.
Like trusting yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And trusting that inner guidance.
Just a dance between effort and grace.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's where the role of the master comes in.
You were saying something about the role of the master before.
Right.
What do you think are some misconceptions about what that role really is?
I think people think that a master is supposed to give them all the answers.
Yeah.
And make them feel good.
Yeah, like stroke their ego.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's really the opposite.
Oh, really?
The master is there to challenge our limited perspectives.
He's going to push us outside of our comfort zone a little bit.
Exactly. And guide us towards that true spiritual growth.
So it's less about seeking comfort and more about, like you said earlier, being okay with being uncomfortable.
Exactly. And that's where the real transformation happens.
It reminds me of that quote from before from Kirpal Singh, like, only if you've seen the truth yourself will you call on others to follow you.
Right.
So it's like really embodying that truth.
Embodying it, yeah. And realizing that we're all capable of that.
Yeah.
The master isn't there to do it for us. They're there to awaken that spark within us.
Oh, I like that.
So that we can become self-realized.
And that's a journey.
It is a journey.
Not a destination.
Exactly.
So we're always going to be kind of like coming back to that.
Learning and growing.
Yeah. Deepening that connection.
Exactly.
With that name.
Yes. And allowing it to really permeate every aspect of our lives.
Okay. So it's not just like an hour a day.
Yeah.
It's like, this is something that should inform everything we do.
It's a way of life.
Wow. This has been so eye-opening.
Yeah.
Like we're just scratching the surface here.
I know, right?
But I already feel like my understanding of satsang has like completely shifted.
It's so much more than just attending a gathering.
It really is.
And the beautiful thing is it's available to everyone.
Okay.
Kirpal Singh said, "It is not the fault of the seed if it falls on barren ground. It is the fault of the ground."
So it's like saying that potential is within each of us.
Exactly.
But it's up to us to cultivate it.
To create that fertile ground.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive. I've learned so much.
Me too.
And I really hope our listeners are walking away with like a new understanding of what satsang really is.
Yeah, me too.
It's about connecting with that Naam, that divine energy within, and allowing it to transform us from the inside out.
Absolutely.
And realizing that it's a journey and it's available to each and every one of us.
Beautifully said.
Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been great.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And for our listeners, if true satsang is about this internal transformation through Naam, how might you seek that out in your own life, regardless of your outward circumstances? Until next time, keep diving deep.